Every day we are bombarded with noise and distraction that can make it difficult to stand still and reflect on life's deeper questions. In the midst of all this chaos, it is easy to feel like we are alone, forging our own path through challenges, setbacks, and moments of overwhelming doubt. Yet there is a greater reality that has the power to bring us hope, comfort, and a sense of purpose that cannot be easily shaken. It is the truth that God has a plan, and that this plan is never thwarted by the unpredictabilities of life or by the limitations we perceive within ourselves. When people click on a video like this, they often carry with them a silent yearning for reassurance, inspiration, or a simple reminder that the things that happen to us are not mere coincidences. Instead, there is a divine orchestration at work that gently weaves every thread of our experiences into a tapestry of purpose. If you are searching for something to anchor your hopes to, if you feel weary or uncertain and you long for the reassurance that everything you are going through has meaning, then know this: you are not here by accident, and neither are the twists and turns of your life. God's plan never fails. Even in the face of what seems like insurmountable difficulty, this truth holds fast. The invitation before you is to pause, listen, and let your heart absorb the profound reassurance that there is a plan bigger than your fears, your doubts, and your struggles. Too often we approach the idea of God's plan as if it were a delicate thread that might snap at the slightest tension. We worry that our mistakes might destroy it, or that our lack of faith might unravel it. But that is not how the divine works. Think of the most unwavering promise you have ever been given. Multiply that sense of certainty by infinity, and it is still only a fraction of the steadfastness God exhibits in fulfilling divine purpose. If the mere possibility of such a plan grips you with wonder, and if your heart is prepared to discover a path of hope, trust, and renewed faith, then this message is for you. Together, let us delve into the life-changing assurance that no matter how many times we stumble, no matter how tumultuous our situation may become, and no matter how many obstacles confront us, the plan of God cannot be derailed. More than that, let us explore how aligning ourselves with this plan offers hope, restoration, and a deeper sense of meaning than we have ever known. This is a plan that predates your birth and extends beyond your wildest dreams, one that speaks of a love so profound it transcends every boundary you have erected around your life. It is a plan that looks at your flaws and your fears and responds with unwavering grace. As we begin this exploration, let your heart remain open to the possibility that your setbacks are setups for something greater, and that your winding journey is directed by a hand that will never let you fall beyond the reach of divine love. Body. To begin understanding why God's plan never fails, we must acknowledge the far-reaching perspective of the divine. We, as humans, live within the confines of time, experiencing life moment by moment, often struggling to see beyond our immediate needs and circumstances. When a crisis hits, our minds can become so absorbed by the problem that we lose sight of the greater narrative. God, however, transcends the boundaries of time and space. This transcendence suggests that what seems like an insurmountable obstacle in our present reality can be woven into a larger design that provides growth, wisdom, or even blessing in ways we cannot predict. There is a divine knowledge that sees past, present, and future all at once, making it possible for everything to fall into place at the right moment. This overarching perspective is crucial for understanding that nothing we face is random. The sense of randomness and chaos we might feel arises from our finite vantage point. Just as a character in a novel might not grasp how one small event foreshadows something greater until the final chapters, we do not see the purpose of our struggles until they converge in ways only God could orchestrate. In this sense, God's plan never fails because it is drawn from a perspective infinitely larger and wiser than anything we can comprehend. Another aspect of this unerring plan is God's nature itself. Throughout many faith traditions, God is portrayed as loving, merciful, and just. What does that mean when we consider our personal hardships and tragedies? The answer lies in the understanding that God's nature is not whimsical or subject to sudden change. If the divine is love, then everything that unfolds under the watchful eye of that love has a purpose tied to goodness. This does not mean that all events feel positive or appear good at first glance. Suffering, loss, and confusion are very real, and they can cut us deeply. But it is within the nature of divine love to transform pain into growth, turn mistakes into lessons, and bring about redemption in moments that seem beyond saving. If we believe that God is love, then we can trust that our darkest nights carry the potential for a morning of renewed hope. This trust is not formed by ignoring reality, but by grounding ourselves in the fundamental character of the divine. Since this nature does not waver, the plan birthed from it remains steadfast and reliable. Even when we wander off course, that steady hand of grace and purpose guides us back, using even our detours to enrich our story and strengthen our faith. Equally significant is the fact that God's plan is not meant to suppress our free will or individuality. Often there is a misconception that if everything is already planned out, our choices do not matter. But consider that our choices might actually be part of the plan, even the poor ones. When we make a mistake, it does not catch God off guard or cause the plan to crumble. Sometimes, our missteps become the very catalysts for growth and transformation, leading us to revelations we might never have discovered otherwise. The plan of God takes into account not only our triumphs, but also our failures, weaving them both into a future that can still yield beauty, purpose, and spiritual progress. Free will is part of being human, and the divine plan works through it rather than against it. If you reflect on your past, you might identify moments where you felt certain you had irreparably damaged your life's trajectory. Yet in hindsight, those same moments often become the turning points that led you toward greater wisdom or a sense of calling you would never have realized had your path gone uninterrupted. Thus, God's plan is robust enough to integrate every dimension of our humanity, ensuring that no choice, however misguided, is wasted in the grand tapestry of our existence. Faith is another cornerstone in this understanding. The belief that God's plan never fails is not a casual assertion. It is a faith-driven stance that requires us to look beyond immediate evidence. We live in a world that values what can be measured and analyzed, and faith can appear counterintuitive. But faith acts as a bridge between the tangible and the unseen. It lifts our eyes from the mire of present difficulties and reminds us that a higher reality is at work. When we speak of faith, we are not referring to blind optimism or wishful thinking. Rather, it is a confidence built upon the trustworthiness of the divine nature and the countless testimonies of those who have experienced guidance, deliverance, or peace beyond all understanding. Faith invites us to place our burdens, fears, and anxieties in the hands of a plan that is orchestrated by perfect wisdom. Through faith, we begin to perceive that the trials we endure have the potential to refine us, just as gold is refined by fire. In other words, while it is natural to feel discouragement when our circumstances seem grim, faith helps us hold on to the conviction that purpose is still unfolding, and that every event in life can serve that greater purpose in ways we might only understand when looking back. In the process of discovering how God's plan never fails, patience is an indispensable virtue. We might wholeheartedly believe that the divine blueprint is flawless, yet the waiting period can test us more fiercely than the original problem. When we expect immediate solutions or clarity, we can grow impatient and assume that God's plan is not working. This impatience can breed doubt, leading us to take matters into our own hands. But divine timing does not bow to our demands or schedules. Often the lessons we need to learn or the transformations we must undergo require time to unfold, just as seeds require a period of dormancy before they sprout. So do our hearts, minds, and circumstances sometimes need space to develop in alignment with God's ultimate design. What looks like delay from our vantage point may be perfect preparation from another. Patience, then, becomes not a passive waiting, but an active form of trust. It is a stance that says, I believe that even though I do not see it yet, God's plan is in motion, and it will bear fruit in the right season. This posture can bring peace in the midst of uncertainty, fostering a perseverance that refuses to give in to despair. It is also essential to recognize the role of community and support in reinforcing the belief that God's plan never fails. We are not designed to walk this journey alone. Isolation can magnify our fears and doubts, and it can distort our perception of reality. Being part of a community of faith, whether that community is a church, a small group, or even trusted friends, allows us to hear testimonies of how others have encountered God's unwavering plan in their own lives. Such stories can strengthen our resolve, reminding us that if a divine blueprint was at work in their circumstances, then it stands to reason that the same blueprint is at work in ours. Community also offers a safe space to express our struggles, ask questions, and seek counsel. When we share our vulnerabilities, we often discover insights or receive comfort that reaffirms our trust in a higher purpose. Accountability within a supportive community can encourage us to remain faithful and patient, especially in seasons where we cannot see the bigger picture. By walking with others who share our core convictions, we find collective encouragement that sustains us through the darkest nights. We also realize that we ourselves might become a source of hope for someone else, further illustrating how intricately woven the threads of this plan truly are. In addition, there is immense significance in understanding that challenges themselves are not a sign that God's plan is failing. In fact, adversity can be one of the most potent confirmations that we are on a path that requires growth and spiritual resilience. Hardships can refine our character, exposing weaknesses that were previously hidden and pushing us to rely on divine strength rather than our own. If we judge the validity of God's plan by the absence of troubles, we will inevitably become disillusioned. Life is filled with ups and downs, regardless of our faith. The critical difference lies in how we respond to those trials. If we approach them believing that there is a purpose woven into each struggle, we can endure them with a hope that refuses to be extinguished. This hope is not naive. It acknowledges the pain and the tears, but does not stop there. It goes on to assert that beyond the veil of our suffering lies an outcome that will prove the journey worthwhile. This perspective does not make the trials vanish, but it transforms how we perceive them and how we allow them to shape us. Rather than concluding that challenges mean the plan is broken, we can begin to interpret them as stepping stones for the fulfillment of what God intends in our lives. As we stand at the end of this journey of reflection, one core message rings true and clear. God's plan never fails. It endures through storms, withstands our moments of weakness, and persists even when our confidence wavers. If you have listened this far, consider that this moment of contemplation might itself be part of that divine plan. Perhaps you needed this reminder exactly now, in the midst of whatever season you find yourself navigating. Remember that nothing is wasted in the divine economy. Your joys, pains, triumphs, and failures are all woven into a narrative that stretches far beyond what you can fully understand. These segments of your life might be fragments from your perspective, but they form a complete mosaic when viewed through the eyes of the Creator, who set the universe in motion and continues to guide each step you take. You have been invited to embrace faith, patience, community, and the unshakable nature of God's love, all as integral parts of a plan that is bigger than any obstacle you may face. Now is your chance to respond. You can choose to believe that your life is a collection of random events, or you can choose to see it as a story authored with intentionality and care. You can give in to despair when challenges arise, or you can recognize them as opportunities for perseverance, growth, and deeper trust. Ultimately, the choice to believe in the unfailing nature of God's plan is an act of faith, one that can profoundly transform how you live each day. It does not grant immunity from difficulties, but it provides a context in which those difficulties can be viewed not as endings, but as transitions into new phases of growth and revelation. When you commit to walking in alignment with this plan, you step into a realm of hope that defies your darkest fears. In this realm, you may still weep, but your tears do not signify defeat. You may still struggle, but your struggle does not rob you of purpose. You may still wonder when relief will come, but beneath that wonder lives a deeper certainty that your story is held by a hand that will never fail you. May this be the comfort that you carry forward today and every day, assured that God's plan, in all its complexity and perfection, will never be thwarted by anything in this world. It is a plan that guides you, shapes you, and ultimately brings you closer to the realization of your highest calling, and nothing can stand in its way.